Welcome to this video tutorial about S4W. This video will show you how to proceed the initial startup of an S4W device. The first step will be to start the device, create a configuration, upload the firmware on the user list and connect to the operating mode. The second step will be to configure the device in more detail. The last step will be about the certification to ensure secure communication between S4W and other devices. To complete this tutorial, we will need the following software: S4W Tools to configure the device, S4 View to connect on it, and S4 Keys to manage certificates. To power the S4W on, plug a 24V DC power supply on the lower left corner of the device. The green LED must now light on. The first goal is to install the S4W firmware, then add a user list. To create a folder, drag and drop it. To create a configuration, drag and drop it in a folder. To import an existing configuration file, right-click on the folder, then select Import. Configuration files use a specific format and WK. Click on the top left icon to switch to another kind of view of the items. The Users tab allows you to create a user list. Click on Add a user. The label is the name of the new user. The different profiles available stand for different rights. Only the manager is mandatory and is allowed to modify the user list of an S4W. A login and a password. You can see that the error message just disappeared. My user list is valid. In the Network tab, select our new configuration, then go to the Updates tab on the right side. We are going to install the latest firmware version through USB. Connection type will be USB, a login and a password. Confirm. Yes. OK. The Confirm button is now grayed out. It means the S4W device is restarting. The same applies to the user list. The S4W has now restarted. We can upload the user list. Confirm. Yes. The S4W is now ready. The next step is to set the configuration of the device. Double-click on the new station. A new window pops up. This is the configuration of the S4W. This first view shows a hardware overview of the S4W. Inputs, outputs, communication boards in blue, I/O extension modules in white. To add a communication board, drag and drop it. The same applies for I/O extension modules. Depending on your S4W hardware, you have the possibility to configure by default up to 16 digital inputs, 4 analogic inputs, and 4 digital outputs. The DI board offers 3 possibilities per input. The first row gives you the state of the input. The second row gives you the number of activation of the input. And the third row, the activation duration. To create an information, double-click on the box. It can be configured on the right side. To delete an information, make a right mouse click, then delete. In the Data Point tab, the whole list of created information can be seen. It is also possible to create other kinds of information as inputs and outputs. The Alarm Reporting tab allows to configure SMS and email sendings. The Archive tab allows to set archiving criteria. The Preferences tab allows to set some general settings. The Display tab is intended to create mimic diagrams for the S4 Display touchscreen. The Website Mimic Diagram tab is intended to create mimic diagrams for the web server of the S4W. The Pumping Station tab allows to configure in a fast way an S4W for the specific use case of a pumping station. Going back to the Hardware tab, we can display the devices to communicate with and declare a SCADA and other Sofrel devices. This icon on the top left allows to refocus the view on the S4W. The Ethernet icon lets you configure Modbus TCP communication. The icon Configure Equipment contains 3 different tabs. In the general description, the label is the name of this device. The RTU number is the device number or slave number. In the Network Configuration tab, you can configure and set the different IP addresses of the device. The Security tab is the place where to set the certificates for secure communication. The Automation workbench appears when clicking on this icon. Just aside, you can find the help files. The configuration can now be saved. Please notice that if any IP address has been set, the certificates must also be included. The next chapter will explain how to configure them in a proper way. The configuration can now be closed and uploaded inside the device. First, select the configuration, then go to the right side, Updates, select to update the configuration, confirm, yes. The S4W is now configured. We'll connect on it using the S4View software. Login and password are mandatory. We'll connect using the USB. This view shows you the different process points of the configuration. Currently, there is only one. Take the box on the left to display the historical values as a curve or as a list. This window shows the list of the alarms. This one, the logical value changes. This tab will give you diagnostic possibilities.
We will now talk about S4 keys and certificate management. The software S4 Keys allows you to create and manage certificates to allow secure communication between Sofrel devices. For two Sofrel devices to communicate in a secure way, they must have the same certification authority, a product certificate, and a revocation list. To generate a certificate on S4W, go to S4W Tools. Then click on the station and go to the Certificate tab. Here you can enter your login, your password. In web server, enter the IP address of the device used to connect to the web server. Property files are not mandatory, but can allow you to organize your pre-certificate better. Then you can click on Export Pre-Certificate and save it where you want. Now let's switch to S4 Keys. At the first connection, you can use any login and password. This login and password will then become your login to S4 Keys for the next connections. For example, at the first use, you have to create a trusted authority. Click on Create, enter a name, and the validity period. Click on OK. To sign a product certificate, go to Product Certificate and click on Sign. Then you have to import your CSR file and add a quick description. You add the validity period for this certificate and click on OK. The signature is OK and the certificate appears in the certificate list. Finally, to export the signed certificate, select your certificate, then click on Export. Click on Save, and the three components of the certification, authority, certificate and revocation list will be exported at the same time. To import the certificate, go back on S4W Tools. Then open the configuration, go to Hardware Settings, and then Security Settings. Here you can import your certificates. First click on the product certificate and click on Import. Then choose the right certificate. Import the authority and then import the revocation list. Then click on Save to check that all the files are good. If there is no error, it means that the certificates are made correctly. To certify S4W tools, it's the same than to certify S4W. You go on this tab and then you just repeat the operation that we did before. And finally, for S4View, the settings are located here. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Feel free to check out the other tutorials on our channel. You can also visit our technical website, Webline, for more technical information.